Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back again in another beautiful and quick podcast to help you learn and master English so much better. This is مدرب اللغة الإنجليزية وليد Khalid talking to you from downtown Baghdad. We will talk today about some of the tips that you need to have and to equip yourself to be a better English speaker. Tip number one is to not be afraid to commit any mistakes and be confident. But sometimes this is used with a little bit of exaggeration, because you cannot be confident without going through so many hurdles and challenges to become a better English speaker, especially when it comes to talking in front of audience. So people who only can correct your mistakes when they hear you are those who are going to help you become better. So you need to embrace that side of feedback and do not underestimate them or feel bad about that, because that is how you're going to grow in terms of language and in terms of language development. You need to surround yourself in English by putting yourself in an English-speaking environment where you can learn passively and actively, and the best way to learn is through speaking. As you notice here, I'm doing this podcast, but I'm practicing as well. I'm talking to you and I'm setting this goal every day to create a podcast where I chat with you and also improve my skills. So I'm by default learning, and one of the effects of creating podcasts is to help your practice of English. So practicing is an influential element to improve your English. And you need to do that routinely on every day or on a daily basis by making yourself stick to a study plan and decide how much time a week you're going to spend studying and sticking to that. And you need to help your family understand the way of your lifestyle of learning, because that is going to get them pushed to understand and tolerate the kind of craziness that happens, whether they have you listen to something or they listen to you talking by yourself. When we talk about skills, where there's reading, writing, speaking, and sometimes they say listening, but I call it watching, because nowadays listening is by default watching something. They all need to be worked on hard to improve your English and to be in a higher level. You need also to keep a note of new words you learn. Using these notes is going to help you crystallize and galvanize your skills in language, and you need to use them in sentences when you try to use them at least 3 times when you speak. Memorization is useless. So if you are a kind of person who tries to memorize, that is not going to help you that much over the long run, because memorization is just investing in your memory, and your memory archives things that you are not using. So you need to definitely invest some time using English effectively through practice and through putting it into challenges. One of the key challenges that you can put yourself in is to push yourself a little bit behind your comfort zone, trying to speak to people that you don't know, trying to speak about things that you don't know how to speak about. You will find words easier to remember if you try to remember an example sentence that has to do with your relevant lifestyle or your society or your experience. So whatever thing you're passionate about, put it within your circle of interest and try to find online videos about it, because this is where you can improve your English by creating a bridge of relevance between your experience and the kind of target subjects that you're focusing on, whether that's music, art, history, geography, graffiti, any kind of field that you feel passionate about is going to trigger the inner passion of your language to create that kind of concrete connection. Put yourself in a long-term goal plan where you concentrate on working towards it. Put yourself also in a short-term plan where you need to gradually build up a ladder to the long-term program and make the right atmosphere. Try to choose your body oriented kind of learning style. So if you are a morning person, go with the morning person routine. If you are an evening person, go with the evening routine. That is how you can make an atmosphere suitable in which you want to learn. You need to know what you work on the best, because that's how people can be successful. Think about what methods have been successful in the past while you're learning something, or you try to learn something, and build on that. If you do not understand something, try to find an alternative way to understand it by checking out videos on YouTube. And probably the best asset that is available right now is watching videos. But the videos on YouTube are so much better than the TV shows or the movies, because these movies and TV shows were based on scripts that were written by very handicraft writers and by very active and clever writers or script writers, and they definitely choose the hardest, probably mostly context relevant to the United States or to UK or to New Zealand, where probably there's something that you do not understand that you get from the first point. Read lots of graded readers. By graded readers, they are shortened versions of novels. Read children books. They are really good. Newspapers are good, but sometimes it's really hard to have an access to them. But you need to read for the general meaning. So you need to get an idea of what you're reading about and building on that. And when you see a word you do not understand in a sense, you just need to highlight it, put it in your notebook, and then trying to investigate that word and coming back to it in your second reading. So there's not one only kind of reading. There's a strategy, mechanism of learning and mechanism of reading. One of the key features of successful learners is that they catch language by horns. And by horns, I mean the prefixes and suffixes and infixes of language, which are very rare. But learning the prefixes is going to give you a better chance of understanding how language functions in reality, and that is going to help you deduce and conclude lots of meanings building on that. So for example, this, un, and re for prefixes, and ly and meant and full, these will help you trying to figure out the meaning of words and building your own vocabulary. English, unlike Japanese or French or Arabic, uses word stress. And sometimes we have this kind of word stress problem when we speak English, because usually Arabic language stresses the beginning of the ends of words, and English stresses the beginnings, especially if the words are short. So for new words, you can count the syllables and find where the stress is. But that's going to gradually help you get to a level where you understand the mechanism of stress. So the two syllable verbs have stress on the second syllable, like begin. Second syllable nouns, teacher, and adjectives, for example, happy, stress the first part. Use English whenever you can, especially if one of your family members have an access and ability to speak English. That is going to be a real asset to you. Translating into English from your own language is not a good idea, because the way English people think, the way English people speak is completely different from the way Arab people or Arab speakers speak. So think in English, try to improve your fluency. But when we say thinking English, that's bullshit, actually. What I mean by thinking English is asking yourself, how do they say it in English? Not how do I translate it into English. How to translate it from Arabic to English or into English is going to put you in the loop of slowing down and trying to artistically translate effectively everything from Arabic to English. But you need to ask yourself, what are the alternative ways of saying that in English what are the ways that people say it in English? And that's what I mean by thinking English. You can't learn English from a book. It's like driving a car. No matter how much you read about how to drive a car, the mechanism of cars and how they work, you need to sit behind the wheel to drive the car. Learning grammar is probably better through talking. So if you're talking to people and trying to discover gradually what the mistakes you have, especially if you get feedback from your teachers, that is better than just opening a grammar book and reading all the rare sentences or the sentences that nobody say in English. Keep English diary, which is a journal that I've already told you about, and it's a small notebook that push it in your back pocket and just walking around, and if there's something come up, you can just write it down and then review it later. You can start an online blog or course, or maybe even a video channel on YouTube to document your progress of English. And maybe every week you record a 10 minutes video where you talk, and you do not have to put it publicly, but you just keep a record and track. After passing of 2 months, you can go back to the first video and see if there was any kind of progress over the 2 months. That is the best way probably you can get improved by yourself independently without getting a chance to work with other people, or you don't have the accessibility to do that. That was a 10 minutes to 11 minutes podcast to give you some tips and recommendations on how to improve your English. I hope it was useful to you. Thank you so much. This is English teacher Walid Khalid. Looking forward to see you in another podcast. ربي يحفظكم.